A Midsummer Night's Dream. A long, long time ago, near the city of Athens, lived a girl named Hermia. The time had come for her to marry, and her father, Aegeus, wanted her to marry a young man named Demetrius. Hermia refused and told her father she was in love with a youth named Lysander instead. Aegeus was determined that she would marry Demetrius and appealed to Duke Theseus, the ruler of the city. The Duke ordered Hermia to marry Demetrius or else become a nun. Hermia told Lysander what had happened. The lovers planned to run away that night. As the sun set, Hermia slipped out to visit her best friend Helena one last time. As it happened, Helena was actually in love with Demetrius herself. When Hermia told Helena the plan to run away, both girls hoped that Demetrius might forget about Hermia and learn to love Helena. "May me going after my happiness bring you yours," said Hermia as they hugged goodbye. When the moon rose, Hermia and Lysander raced away into the woods. They tried to run as far away as possible, but they soon became hopelessly lost in the dark. The next morning, Helena waited outside Hermia's house and stepped into view when Demetrius approached. "She's not here," Helena said. Demetrius frowned. "What do you mean?" "Hermia eloped with Lysander last night," said Helena. "I'm sorry, Demetrius. They will do anything to be together. Maybe you should forget her." "I will go after her," Demetrius declared, to Helena's dismay. "I must let her know the strength of my feelings." With that, he dashed into the forest. "If he will follow Hermia to show her the strength of his feelings, then I must follow him to show him the strength of mine," Helena said to herself. Little did these four youngsters know that all was not well in the forest. The fairy king and queen of that wooded realm, Oberon and Titania, were fighting. "Titania, hand over that magic amulet now," Oberon thundered. "You don't need it," said Titania. "You have all the magic you could ever want. Besides, I like the way it shines in the light." "Give it to me or regret it," Oberon snarled. Titania laughed in his face. "Do your worst." She swept out of the clearing. Oberon growled to himself. "I'll make her regret this Puck." He clapped his hands, and Puck, his small, cheeky fairy servant, appeared. Puck bowed. "What can I help you with, your magicalness?" Oberon thought hard, then smiled wickedly. "Puck, bring me some purple wild pansies. I'm going to make a love potion." Puck set off, and Oberon laughed to himself at the thought of what he was going to do. But then he heard footsteps. Turning himself invisible, he peered through the trees at the approaching couple. "Why did you follow me?" Demetrius shouted at Helena. "I will never love you. How could I? You are nothing compared to Hermia." Helena's eyes filled with tears. "How you feel for Hermia is how I feel for you," she gasped. "How would you feel if she said such things to you about Lysander?" "Hermia and I are supposed to be together," said Demetrius stubbornly. He stormed off, with Helena in pursuit. Puck returned. "I've got the flowers, your highness." "Excellent," said Oberon. "I'll take some and find Titania. But you take some too. There is a young lad and lass from Athens wandering in the woods. She loves him, but he won't give her a second chance. Wait until the boy falls asleep and then drop some of this on his eyelids. Then perhaps he will give the girl the attention she craves." Puck bowed. "Your wish is my command." Oberon took some of the flower juice for himself and crept toward Titania's nap spot on the riverbed. There she lay, snoozing peacefully, having been sung to sleep by her handmaidens. Oberon dropped the juice on her eyelids and chanted, "The one you see when you wake up will be the one you madly love. And just to get you back, my dear, wake when something ugly's near." He tiptoed back into the trees, giggling to himself. "I hope she wakes up when a wild boar wanders by." Meanwhile, Puck had stumbled across not Demetrius and Helena, but Lysander and Hermia, fast asleep. "That boy is wearing Athenian clothes," Puck murmured to himself. "He must be the one Oberon meant." He dropped the juice in Lysander's eyes. Then who should come running past but Demetrius and Helena? "For the last time, leave me alone," Demetrius shouted. Helena stopped out of breath. "Oh, this is useless." She turned and spotted Lysander asleep on the ground. "Lysander," she exclaimed, "are you all right?" Lysander blinked his eyes open. "Helena, my love, I would run through fire for you. Where is Demetrius? I will fight him for disrespecting you like this." Helena gasped. "But what about Hermia?" "Pah, what about Hermia?" said Lysander. "It is you who I love." Helena's eyes filled with tears once more. "You are making fun of me. Is it not enough that Demetrius scorns me? Must you mock me too?" She ran away crying. Lysander chased after her, leaving Hermia alone. Not long after, Hermia stirred. "Lysander, where are you?" She went to find him. Meanwhile, a group of actors were rehearsing a play about love. Puck overheard them and decided to play a trick. He used his fairy magic to give one of the actors, Bottom, a donkey's head. Then he led him toward where Queen Titania was still sleeping. "Oberon will be so pleased with me," Puck giggled. A few moments later, Titania awoke and promptly fell in love with Bottom. She called to her handmaidens to tend to him and bring him fruit. Puck gleefully went to tell Oberon what he had done. As master and servant laughed over their tricks, Demetrius and Hermia came by. Oberon said, "Look, there he is." Puck frowned. "No, that's not the one." Demetrius was begging Hermia to love him, but all she could think about was her missing lover Lysander. She ran away from Demetrius. He sighed to himself, wondering if there was any point in following her when he could not make her care. He was tired of chasing her and decided to nap. As Demetrius fell asleep, Oberon turned to Puck. "What have you done? This is the one that was meant to fall in love with Helena. You must have put it in someone else. Go and find Helena now, and I'll put the love potion on his eyes." Puck scurried off, and Oberon dropped the juice onto sleeping Demetrius's eyes. Puck hurried back a few minutes later with Helena and Lysander in tow. Helena was still distressed, believing Lysander to be making fun of her. Demetrius woke up as they spoke next to him. "Beautiful Helena," he cried, "the true love of my life." Helena flushed as she stared between the two young men. "You are both making fun of me," she wailed. "Why?" Lysander frowned at Demetrius. "Yes, why are you doing this? We all know you love Hermia, and I have good news for you. You can have her. I love her Helena now." Demetrius pouted. "But I don't want Hermia. Truly, I have always loved Helena." "He's lying, Helena," Lysander said. "No, you're lying," Demetrius retorted. At that moment, Hermia pushed through a thicket of trees, startling the three confused lovers. "What are you all doing, Lysander? Why did you leave me?" she asked. "Why, because I love Helena, of course," Lysander answered. Helena stamped her foot. "You're all in this together to make fun of me." "We are not," Hermia cried. "You are just jealous that they both love me." The two boys each vowed that they loved Helena more, and left to have a contest to prove their love. Left alone, the girls each accused the other of being a liar, and ran away from one another. "Puck, you fool," Oberon laughed. "This is a fine mess, but here's how we'll sort it out. Wait until Lysander falls asleep, then drop this potion on his eyelids. It will undo the effect of the purple juice, and all will be well." Puck followed the bickering lovers around the forest until at last Demetrius and Lysander grew tired of fighting. Helena gave up trying to find her way out, and Hermia gave up trying to find Lysander. In the dark, the four youngsters didn't see that they'd lain down to sleep right next to one another. Puck crept up, dropped the potion on Lysander's eyelids, and crept away again. Next, Puck and Oberon went to laugh at Titania, who was fast asleep with Bottom curled up in her arms. "Oh, this has made me feel so much better," Oberon chuckled. "Poor Titania, how can I be angry at her now?" He dropped the remedy on her eyelids, and she awoke. "Oberon, my love," Titania yawned. "I had the weirdest dream that I was in love with a donkey." "It was no dream, my lady," Puck smirked. Titania screamed as she saw Bottom in her bower, startling him awake. Puck removed the donkey head from Bottom and sent him back to the other actors. "You've had quite a night," Oberon laughed. Meanwhile, the four sleeping Athenians were awoken by Theseus and his court coming to watch the play. Aegeus was furious to find his daughter with Lysander, but when Demetrius explained that he actually loved Helena now, their elders agreed that Hermia could marry Lysander and Demetrius could marry Helena. All the couples were happy as the actors began to perform their play. Little did they know that it was being watched by several more eyes deep in the woods beyond.